Hello everyone, after a bit of a break, I'm back with another review of the new updates for the reMarkable paper tablet and basically a summary of a 1 year experience because now I had my reMarkable since September last year, so it's quite interesting to see actually where we are now compared to where we were just a little while ago. So there's a lot of things to cover. I'm going to be focusing mainly on the features of update 1.6, and we're going to glance over 1.5 as well. So let's now check the update 1.6, what it introduces, and it's very exciting. It's quite cool. Let's dig in and explore the functionality of all of these new features so that we can check out how they work, and I can show you guys how it works at the moment and what it does not do. The biggest improvement with the update 1.6 is obviously the handwriting recognition, which is a huge feature, and it actually transforms this device into something irreplaceable, actually, because now from a potential, a year ago, or even half a year ago, it was showing the potential, and I was talking about how hardware is excellent and pity that the software isn't there. Well, obviously we're getting there, because right now it's starting to be something, for me at least, irreplaceable, and functions just really good. So here's a page that I simply wrote out a couple of things here, and I wanted to see how it works, what it can handle, what it can't handle at the moment. So we have just a regular text, then we have a bit of basic math, then we have some slightly more special symbols like square root, and maybe I can add also to the power of so let's see what do we actually get. And I have the bullet points and the dashes as indentations or bullet points that you can use. So the way it works is twofold. So you can immediately transfer any single page by focusing on this letter A. So this is a wholly new feature and a wholly new icon that you have here, and you simply press it with your pen or your finger, doesn't matter. You wait a little bit, it's converting to English, and it converted it. So we have a little bit over here, and I know what that is. I had a little scribble in the upper left corner that you couldn't see, and obviously thought, hey, that's a bullet point, so that's fine. Testing of the reMarkable's new feature of converting handwritten wholes, to digital text format. Then we have 5 + 1 - -46. So this time it did not recognize equals, and my handwriting obviously sucks. So it was able to recognize ones here, but when I had 1 and 6, it thought it was a 4. Then we have a TG32 = 9. So TE-G, that's the square root that obviously didn't work. And 32, that's 3 to the power of 2 = 9. But what's interesting is that in this case it did recognize the equals sign. So okay, that's pretty good. Not perfect, but no OCR is, but this is pretty good, especially because I really did not pay attention to writing cleanly or in an organized way. And here are the indentations, and sure enough, we got bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. So that's pretty good, that's excellent actually. And the only weird thing is the capitals here. We don't have a capital, so that's probably my fault as well. But before I go back and analyze all this, here's one of the limitations that we have, and there are current limitations because this is the first iteration of this implementation. So at the moment we have a couple of limitations. If you go into settings now, when you have version 1.6, we have a new option which is called handwriting conversion, and this is basically probably the first thing that you would need to do. Is that you need to select your language, and there's quite a decent amount of languages supported now, and I am guessing that more are in the pipeline, but this is mostly European. Do we have Portuguese? Yes. And Spanish? Yes. So yeah, we don't have African continent, and we have very little of Asia in place, but Europe and most of the US continent is kind of covered. So okay, that's a start. Alright, but that's what you have. So English United States is the default. Alright, and we go back to close. So now let's get back to this one, and when I did the conversion, here's the little dots here, maybe you can see them. I was scribbling there when I was trying to do this. Anyway, testing of the reMarkable's new feature of converting handwritten notes. I mean, please take in mind that I am barely able to read my scribbles, so I'm fairly impressed that it was able to do it very, very nicely. And notes, yeah, sure, that sucks. So let's try and improve the So let's write a nicer, well, let's write the whole notes from the get-go. And we now I'm going to write nicely, or attempt, notes to digital text format. All right, so let's see what happened here. So this one was not able to recognize the equal sign, and I'm not sure why, but let's try with parallel lines, right? Equals. Obviously this we can't do, and we have double indentations, and yep, capital L and capital T, those were my mistakes. So let's see if I deleted the end here and replace it with the capital E and D, and let's do a conversion now. Let's see. Alright, there we go. It's a little bit weirder, but hey, okay, cool. So we have notes worked, definitely worked. Equals now works as well, so you just have to be a little bit more careful. And now I've lost my bullet point, and listing listing 1, listing 2, 3, 4, end of list. So now it got confused with the bullet points or the dashes, which is kind of strange, right? So let's improve them a little bit and put listing 1 and make sure that this is like a 1 and 6. Let's see how he deals with this kind of scribble. Let's see. 98. Okay, he really doesn't like duplicated lists, but we got a better result this time. So we definitely have a capital E, but one of the dashes has been recognized, the other one has not. So it's a little inconsistent, but really, you know, you should take into consideration and just see how terrible this scribbling is that I'm currently doing. So it's it's not a fair type of thing, and usually when you want to convert your notes into your handwritten notes into text, you are mindful of that, and then you pay attention to these things. So if I write 1.6 and now go convert, interested. Yeah, now I get the 16 works, and let's try and see if I can get my... This is a little bit weird because it worked well before, but now it suddenly is a little bit weirded out. So let's see, maybe it's confused with multiple lines again, because it is unclean and not nice. And also I'm gonna now try and use, let's try first the lines, right? Let's see, because maybe the dots actually work better, maybe that confuses it less. Oh, there we go. So definitely it does not like multiple lines scribbled over, and they do mention that specifically in the supporting documentation, that you should most definitely avoid doing these kinds of things, multiple lines and doodles and sketches, because obviously it's going to confuse it. It's trying to make sense of your scribble. And I'm fairly impressed, because it was extremely easy to find out what was confusing it, and there was only a couple of things here that were not okay. So I mentioned that we have two methods of converting this. One is the instant method of converting the page that you're working on, and here's the second point, which is something that you should be aware of. Current limitation is that you can only share what has been converted now. So the document that you convert cannot be saved locally on the device. It can only be shared via email. So you should definitely be mindful of that. The second method is when you go into the document layout, and then you can select multiple pages to maybe convert. Now I don't know what I was doing here. Oh yeah, I was doing MIDI-CC for Waldorf Q. So anyway, here we'll have two pages converted, and once you select them, now again we have a new icon here, which is again the letter A and convert to text. So we press it, and now it's converting two pages, converting page 1 out of 2. And testing of the reMarkable's new feature, and this is kind of cool. So I'm gonna disregard that I completely confused it with the dashes and stuff, because I was doodling as well, so that was definitely not a document prepared or with any kind of mindfulness regarding conversion to text. But here's a very nice thing that I like. Look at the sidebar. How delicate of a thin black line, but it's unmistakable, and you know that that's a scroll. I really like this design decision. It's absolutely gorgeous, much nicer than if they would have decided to go with a big, thick, wide scroll bar, which sucks. So this is beautiful and super clear, and oh my god, this screen looks good. This is playing an optical illusion. Well, it's so nice and sharp. Okay, but the straight lines, this is something that just put a pin in it and we'll come back to this. Look how pretty this straight line is. Very nice screen. So we will notice that we have 3 dots here. That's usually that's the indication of a page break. So when you're translating more than one page, then you get 3 dots between the pages, and this is the indication of your next page. So far so good. So let's say that here I can see, oh, you are Taupo. That's definitely not Taupo. This is a completely new thing now. So I can just touch in the Word, and it becomes a text editor. So now I can just go and tempo. Alright, so that's much better. I don't want this dash here. And maybe, well, everything else is actually great. Damn it. There's nothing for me to correct. But this is really nice. You can also press and hold, and it will select the entire word. However, it's not possible to extend the selection or to drag and drop. That's not an option. But considering that the whole functionality of this is that you select a word and then you replace it and retype it, so that you can correct what has been recognized, is fairly okay, and I'm pretty sure that they will be adding this functionality of selecting more words and things like that. However, I've noticed 2 things that are not that great. First one is not a big deal, but I do like to have my arrows, and I would really like to have an option of getting precisely to where I want, and right now we don't have any arrows of left and right, at least left and right. Up and down, you know, you can touch up and then go left and right, but left and right arrows would help to actually pick the exact letter. But that's really nitpicking. That's not a big deal because you can always be close enough and just replace a couple of letters, and it's not a big deal, but it's something that should be noted. Second one is a little bit weird. So if I go here and hit enter, everything's fine, right? So that's okay. But I noticed when I'm in a bullet list and I hit enter, he gives me a bullet list. Great. But I don't know how not to have a bullet list. I'm really not sure how to do that, and that's a little bit weird. So yeah, just be aware that if you have a bullet point and it ends and you want to add something in between, you're kind of stuck in a bullet point at the moment. So now the end of my list, or my actual end of the document is there, but if I hit enter, it will just continue on being in a bullet point. Alright, so that's something to be aware of, and if it does actually recognize it correctly, then let's see consistency. It's gonna have the same result. Yeah, it's very, very consistent. And of course I'm gonna do a send out so that we can see how does this actually look like. So for now I'm just gonna add enter so that this is the end of the list, and I'm just going to add another enter here, and yeah, here it would be nice to have those arrows because I am trying to find this and do that. Okay, but alright, we're good, so this is okay, and now I can go share, and I'm gonna share here, and I'm gonna send. So now it's sending the file. That was very quick. So I like that, and let's check, and now there's no way to save it, so you can just go cancel and you're back to your handwritten note. So that's how that works. I'm fairly impressed. I'm quite happy how this works, and I think that this is an incredibly useful tool, especially because I've grown extremely used to using this design during the actual development, and actually converting them to text documents helps tremendously in so many applications that I think this is a big game changer for the device. And once all the new things are kind of dialed in, I think this is going to be fairly awesome. So I'm very happy how this works. The next thing that we have as a new one is another feature that I requested and mentioned that would be a very good thing to have, and hey ho, we have it. So I'm very happy about that. And that's about layer management. So right now when you actually click on layers, we finally have those three little dots, or the menu for our layer. So the template is actually a background layer. We are drawing on layer 1, and right now we have options of renaming our layers and moving them up and down, which is very nice. So I can just go and say base level, right, enter, and here I'm just gonna doodle some noodles. Doodle. Okay, so let's just I don't know, let's just draw a kind of a head type of a shape of some sort with a very square jaw, and yes, some collarbones, and just basic level outlines. Alright, so then I can say I want a new layer, so I can create a new layer. There we go. I have my new layer. I can rename it and say maybe eyes. So that's very cool that I can do that already. An improvement. So let's say beady little eyes, or some crappy little eyes. Alright, so we get some eyes happening here, and let's say that I want to add something else. Let's test an overlay. How does that work? So if I now select and add a new layer, and I want to color in a little bit, so let's say that this is called a color, and let's now close, switch to a different brush. So let's now choose a pen with some coloring, and let's make it big. And now if I start coloring in, yeah, usually this would have been an issue before. Right now it is not, and I'm quite happy. So I can just very roughly sketch this out for coloring of the base. Alright, and I know this doesn't work, but now I don't care because I finally have the tools. So I take the color and I move it down. There we go, our eyes are popping, and I move it way down, and now we have this. Okay, so he's gonna refresh in a while. So if I just select the black and I add a new layer now on top of color, okay, well that works. But let's just move this down a couple of levels, one level up actually. There we go, and rename this to dark. And now let's use medium. No, we can use the big one as well. So I can just add some shadow here, maybe, if you wish. Yeah, it sucks, I know, but still demonstrates the point. And maybe I want to strengthen things out here, and then I'm going to clean out later. And let's add highlights. So we can add one more layer, move it down. Okay, rename to light, or light in fact. Light, there we go. And if I choose now the light color and just a small brush, well, a medium brush, and give you some highlights here. Weird highlights over weird places. That's not the way this is supposed to work, but it demonstrates how it actually works. So what I'm interested in is the erasing. So if I go to the dark template now obviously I would like it if I could just refresh simply, because right now I have this staying over on top, which you can definitely see what was here before. So it would be nice to actually just have a refresh function of some sort, be it just a button press or something. So that's an obvious thing that would definitely come in handy for those who want to actually draw. So now I've noticed that the eyes should also be in the... Whoa, definitely not. Why did this happen? Well, that should not be. This is weird. Or am I in erase? What happened here? No, I'm not in the erase. So this is kind of odd. So this doesn't make sense, because now I am in the layer light, which is definitely underneath eyes, and yet it deletes the eyes. Oh, now it works. Okay, so if that happens, you enable or disable the layer, and now it actually worked. Okay, so what I'm interested in is when I'm trying to actually do some erasing. So now to try an erase of the color. This is weird. I can't erase the color. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is the display is a little weird because it's not letting you know where you're erasing. So that's definitely a problem that should be resolved, because if you want to draw it, yeah, it's a little bit off, but yeah, you can definitely erase normally as you would on per layer basis, and you can actually reorganize things. So this is pretty cool, not complete. So there's definitely issues that should be resolved, but most definitely a step in the right direction, and I like it. The next feature that's part of the update is a really important one as well, because previously, once you've imported a PDF document into reMarkable and then you exported it out, it really had extremely sucky quality. I mean, the quality was very, very bad and the file sizes were enormous. So, worst of the both worlds. Apparently, they have finally switched to vector system, and basically you should be able to have to have scalable vectors in the PDF that has been exported. But what I'm interested in is I'm gonna open one of the tutorials or user manuals here that I have, and I'm gonna doodle a little bit on it and then see what it looks like, and most importantly, how do the notes on the PDF document export? Are they also scalable vectors or not? And how does that actually look like? So I'm gonna open up this document, Waldorf Pulse, and since I'm doing MIDI-CC implementation at the moment, let's say that I want to scribble some notes here and say use something, whatever, I don't want to waste time on this. So that's my note, and then I'm just gonna go, oh, this is so important. Alright, so that's that, and now I should be able to just export this. Now let me remember, I think I need to just go out, select document and share, and here we go. You can actually send as a PDF, and you can send a document as an SVG, which is in a beta. So that's the next thing I'm covering. But yeah, let's see how does send as PDF works. So I'm just gonna send it. Okay, that's sent, and at the same time I'm gonna send it as an SVG. Yeah, okay, file sent. That's fine. Thank you. And I'm gonna send it as an SVG so that we can see how that works. Okay. Additionally, now that we're on the point of exporting, I mean, the thing that closely relates to the PDF improvement is the SVG, ability to export as an SVG, which means that you can actually scale your notes into whatever you want, or more importantly, scale your drawings, because they should become vectors, which is awesome. So let's now select this whole quick sheets and just share it as an SVG, and I'm gonna send. So let's now check those files. Okay, so here we have all of the files that I've sent to myself, or most of them. Now, you probably remember when I sent the entire document as an SVG, I wasn't really thinking. So I got an email that contained SVG per page. So yes, don't be as stupid as I am, and don't do those things, otherwise yeah, it's not gonna be fun. However, yeah, let's see how these guys translate and how these files exported from are reMarkable. So I got my Photoshop open in the background, and I'm just selecting these SVG files, and I'm just gonna drop them in, and you get, like any other normal SVG type file, you get the rasterize dialog, so you can decide how big your images should be. And let's now maybe convert this to pixels, and this is quite good. So if I increase it to 600 pixels per inch, now we suddenly are entering a huge territory, like 15,600 height and width 11,700, so well into printing territory and far above any normal day use. So let's try and see what happens. Of course this is gonna be quite long, so I'm just gonna speed it up so that you don't wait with me. Alright, so the first one has imported, and now I'm not gonna wait that long, so I'm just gonna make something more normal, and let's import the rest of them. Okay, so finally everything is imported, and I am very happy to report that the quality is quite good. So yeah, for a normal page this is more than enough, and these guys, yeah, you can actually, I need to zoom in quite a bit until it starts to be pixelated, and again, if you need more details then you simply rasterize it at higher resolution. So this is very nice, and I like how it works. The PDFs themselves, or I'm going to show it in the browser how it looks like, or in a PDF viewer, how the actual PDF looks like when it's exported. But as an SVG, yeah, everything translates very nicely, and the writing itself very detailed and really crisp and sharp. It's really cool that you actually get the template as well, which now with layers you can actually disable in case somebody is interested. Yeah, you can disable the template layer on your reMarkable and then export without it, because of course SVG imports just as one layer. So yeah, all of these things very nice. And yeah, here's the little doodle that I made. So with the improvements you can most definitely start using this device as a sketch as well. One thing though that is becoming obvious now is that it would be very cool if in the future we could maybe get PSD support, so to export layers as well. Now that would be very sweet. However, for now this is very cool. Let's check out the PDF. Okay, so one of the improvements that they mentioned was that the actual export of the PDFs is now a lot better, and yes, most definitely it is. So now you can zoom into really great details and see that the letters are rasterized properly. What I'm also interested in is to see, I think page soon. Let's see where I made a doodle, how that exports in the PDF. Yep, there we go. So how does this look like when we zoom in? Let's see, can't zoom in more. Letters are wonderful and crisp, and this is also crisp as well, and it looks in place. It looks like it's been rasterized using the same settings, which is very nice, because it now makes the notes look like they belong and that they are part of the same document. So definitely huge improvements on how PDFs are now exported. And let's just check the size. Check this out, 694 kilobytes. Compared to what people probably know from before, the previous PDFs were ginormous when you would export them from reMarkable, and they had questionable quality, shall we put it like that. And now we have fabulous size with awesome quality, and now this actually rocks. So yet another thing in this update that's absolutely spot on. Fantastic. Another improvement that they mentioned is a small latency improvement. It's not something that I can quantify, but it is something that I have felt, and then I've started to feel it before I read it. So it's not exactly a placebo, because I started to test out the new update, and I haven't read through the whole list of options. And I just went in to test the handwriting recognition, and the first thing I kind of noticed is like, hey, this seems lighter, and I was actually checking my pen first if the tip was different or not, because it's imperceptible, but it just feels a little bit smoother. And so it's not a negligible update, it's actually definitely there, and it makes it for a much, I don't know, a little bit more smoother experience. Hard to describe, but it's there. And the last thing that they have updated as well is basically your text settings for the ebooks. Now you have the reset button, so you can just tap the reset button and it goes back to the actual document's default settings. Couple of suggestions, mainly for the drawing. At this stage, now that we have layers, which is a fantastic addition, we really need the tools, the drawing tools added here as well. And the drawing tools should be just the basics, but I think that they will help out in the efficiency of this device immensely. Again, especially because we have layers. So if I was to set point A, B, C, and D, that it actually tries to, have a curve system, and then you would get your little tangents that you can move around so that you can shape your curve, and you can just grab a handle and shape the curve as you want. Once you're done with the curve, you set it, and that's that. Maybe you can open up the curve, you can close the curve. These simple tools like point A and point B to have a line, a rectangle, and a circle, those four I think would be a huge addition to the functionality of the device, and that would transform it even further from just a handwriting tool into a sketch tool as well. Okay, so it's pretty awesome, and 1.6, update 1.6 really elevates this device to a new level. The usability is amazing, and one of the things that I found myself actually using quite a lot, and I didn't think about that, is the handwritten recognition. When you share it, just the page that you're working on, so you don't have a page selection, but you just simply share the text that was converted, and you send it to an email. It's actually sent as the body of an email itself, so you can actually write emails with your hand. Esoteric and completely pointless in today's day and age, but you know what? It makes me really happy, and it's really cool. It's a small thing, but for me it actually just offers this kind of new approach to a technology that's been established and linked to a glowing screen for such a long time that it simply, I don't know, feels different, feels new, and for me at least, I like it. The 1.5 update generation, that addressed a lot of issues as well, and also in 1.5, yet another feature that was requested and mentioned by many and me before is the ability to search for a word in a document. Finally works perfectly, and also table of contents for documents that are not scanned, not just PDF images but actual PDF text. It can generate and quite usable table of contents, so that's really cool as well. Alright, so a little over a year with reMarkable, and where are we? Well, it was a very rocky start, but from the beginning I felt that the hardware is so good and so impressive, and the tactile feeling and the feedback of just using the device is really good. It just works, but it was held back severely by the UI. We had to wait for a very long time for the first update, and that one was really disappointing. Then update 1.3 is still disappointing. So all the way up until basically late May of 2018, It was a boohoo sad story. Great hardware, terrible UI, and such basic features were missing, horrible bugs, etc. And it looked like it's gonna fizzle away and die. But apparently, obviously, something has changed in the reMarkable team, and not just by a little margin, it's huge. Because the difference to the approach and to the updates and how it's all done between the, let's say, pre-update 1.4 era and post. So everything before update 1.4 was still kind of dealing with hardware functionality, that the Wi-Fi works, that the battery is kind of okay, and some basic things. But the UI experience was severely flawed still. From 1.4, updates 1.4, 5 and 6 now have elevated this device to a completely new level. It still has a while to go, so I believe that it can be brought up to be a much better sketch device as well, if we introduce the tools for lines, curves, shapes, basic shapes, and if you introduce maybe ability to export as a PSD, that would be very, very good. You can then actually elevate the device to an even higher level of usability. The whole approach to reMarkable from the get-go was, let's distance ourselves from this distracting technology phones that are constantly beeping, blopping and going, hey, look at me, and the notifications of this, notifications of that, and constant distractions. I work a lot to actually disable all the notifications so that I can stay focused when I'm working on a task. reMarkable definitely allows me to do that, and I really welcome that approach. However, I think initially they went a little bit too far to that no technology side, and now they recognize that they do have to actually, at least recognize that this other side of technological world exists, and that they can link to it a little bit. And I think that better sharing options, better support for file formats, conversion of handwritten notes to digital format, that definitely connects now a device that was an experience that was so far isolated. Now it can actually connect into your daily routine and work life. And for me, I think everything up until this update 1.6 were improvements of the original design and everything that it was as a device. 1.6 brings it up a notch and connects it to your daily workflow, and I really like that. So I am super happy with what these updates have brought. However, there are a few things that could be still improved. As I mentioned, the tools for shapes and lines, that would be excellent. PSD support, that would be really, really cool to export as multi-layer formats. But one thing remains that's a very important one to fix. We still are unable to insert a page in the middle or wherever you want within a notebook. You can still only add pages towards the end, and I think that's one of the base functionalities that should be still addressed. I have read a few comments that said that missing of that feature was actually a deal breaker, and I can understand that, because if you're a student and you're taking notes, or you're in a meeting and you're taking notes, or you're an expert and you're in the field and you're taking notes, or whatever it is, you need the ability to actually just go, oh, wait a minute, this needs to go back here, and you go back a page, you go to page 23 so that you can insert page 24 and get more notes in. That's a basic functionality, and it's really, really needed. I think that once that gets to be in, then we're gonna have a very nice rounded package, and they're talking about further improvements and further development. And now I no longer have any reason to be anxious or in disbelief or doubtful of how things are going to turn out, because reMarkable team demonstrates that they're now on a complete roll and they're taking this very seriously, and I'm super happy to see that the lifetime of this device is not just a year and then here you go, a new device that fixes everything that we didn't bother to fix in the first one. They actually care about it, and are improving it constantly, and it shows that they're listening to their user feedback. Sure, it took a long time to, get up to speed, but the results are here now. So I'm very, very happy. They kick ass currently, properly kick ass, and I just hope that they do not stop with the momentum, because it's absolutely fantastic what they've achieved in the last 6 months. So the 1-year summary for me: I love it even more. I love the device far more. I use it even more with new functionalities and updates and fixes. And if this is a hint of what's to come and how reMarkable team takes on challenges and critique and problems, very, very nice, and I'm hopeful for the future. On a different note, I want to really extend my huge thanks and appreciation to all of the people that have shown support and encouragement, that have subscribed to the channel. I haven't really expected that at all, but I'm really happy that it is happening, and it's a motivational force. Now, I have a goal. I am 855 or 54 subscribers, so I can reach maybe 1,000. So if you like what I've done, consider subscribing, because it would be cool to reach that goal of 1,000 subscribers. It's really, really nice. Also, I'm just gonna plug a little the game Solar Explorer New Dawn that I've done this year, and it's released on PC. I'm really happy to say that now currently I'm in the development of converting it to mobile platforms, and that's gonna come out fairly soon, early 2019. And if you want to check it out, you can go to Steam and check it out, maybe get it, I don't know. If you do, excellent, I would really appreciate that. And finally, the music soundtrack for the game Solar Explorer New Dawn, it's now coming out on December 2nd, Spotify, iTunes, everything. One guy said, I want to buy you a cup of coffee for all the work you've done. I really appreciate that. So if you want to show appreciation, you can maybe go to Bandcamp and buy the album if you like the music. So you can listen to it and then you can check it out. I'm going to put links in the description so that you can find those things easily. And yeah, basically any type of support is really, really welcome. And I love doing this type of thing. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to do it, but I wish that I could. So this kind of support will help me be able to actually get a little bit more time out of the schedule and make it possible to make more reviews, get different devices and make reviews on those devices, and yeah, things like that. So yeah, thank you so much for the support. I wish you nice holidays and peaceful and fun. And see you soon. Okay, bye. Oh, and I almost forgot. If you haven't heard about the race that PewDiePie and T-Series channel are having, then check it out. But if you are not subscribed to PewDiePie, maybe you could consider subscribing to PewDiePie, because we're trying to keep him the #1 channel on the internet and T-Series not to overcome. PewDiePie is a single guy and T-Series is a huge company that's actually running to overcome. So it would be really cool that, that he stays #1. So yeah, consider that. And now for real, bye bye.